Hello, welcome to Meditations for Mortals. I'm Lindsay Milner. Meditations for Mortals is Oliver Burkeman's book, a 4-week guide to doing what counts. And in this book he suggests that we take one chapter a day and work through the principles of each chapter, reflecting on it, meditating on it, and thinking about how we can apply that to our lives. And so going back over a month ago, I thought it was a really good idea to take this one-a-day approach and actually record or write about how I've progressed with that. Well, life got in the way, as he does say in at least a couple of these chapters before now, and over a month later I am just now doing day 20. So never mind, that's how it is, that's how life gets us. And the funny thing is that day 20 talks about perfectionism and how we can end up paralysed and not producing because we become so anxious about what we need to produce and how it needs to be perfect, how we cling on to the outcome. So the title of it is Set a Quantity Goal, and it's subtitled On Firing Your Inner Quality Controller. So he's talking about the desire for perfectionism and about how we become, and he uses himself as an example. He's writing how he can be sat staring at a blank screen because he's so worried, and he will write half a sentence and then be not happy that it's a good sentence, so he'll look at it for ages and ages. And this actually reminds me of a book that I read recently, Albert Camus' The Plague, where there's a guy in there who literally spends the entire book trying to start his own book and agonising over every single word in the opening sentence and never getting any further, and then being so unhappy that he tears it up and throws it away, and eventually just doesn't even write the book, just doesn't start writing the book. Obviously, Oliver Burkeman, this is his 4th book, so he hasn't fallen prey to that particular problem as extreme as this fictional account. But the advice in day 20 is to set the quantity goal. And his point is that if we are working towards a quantity and let go of the desire for perfection, the desire for the outcome, then we do end up producing something that is worth being able to produce and release, and something that you can work on and improve. I don't think he quite makes the point in that way, but he does talk very much about set a quantity goal. And I do like this as a principle. I do think that this is worth doing, and in a way I guess I've already taken that on board, because although I've had a break of over a week because of life getting in the way, because of my graduation ceremony and being away from home, and then having lots of sort of things in my head about the graduation and what do I do with my life next, then I've kind of let that get in the way of me producing these daily videos. However, I did commit to doing the 28 days, so the fact that I'm only now doing day 20, it's fine, because I'm picking it up and I will get to the end of the 28 days, even if it takes me a lot longer. That's fine, I will get through it. And the whole point that he's talking about, though, those kind of principles in his daily-ish. And one of the things that I personally am reflecting on quite a lot, and it is something I said at the time I find really challenging, is setting aside about 3 to 4 hours on a daily-ish basis to work on the thing that's important to you. If it's if it's paid work, then obviously you have to be productive to that extent of time. I'm not in paid work. I'm really just doing this because I don't want my brain to atrophy and die. So to me, it's important that I be able to produce some written work, some recorded videos. And so I think the principle of doing something on a daily-ish basis would be really useful, and the principle of doing 3 to 4 hours on a daily-ish basis would be so invaluable to me. And I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to achieve that with all of the other commitments that I've got going on in my life. But the quantity target that I've set is that I will complete these 28 days. So I do really like this as a principle, and there's been research as well. I can't remember where I read it, but I read in a book somewhere that a group of students were told that they could either complete one piece of work, one assignment, and if that one piece of work was up to standard, then they would pass the course. Alternatively, they could complete 100 pieces of work, and it didn't matter what the standard of them was, as long as they completed the 100 pieces of work, they would pass the course. And then, looking at the results of those, they found that the people who did the 100 pieces of work, the overall standard was higher than the students who only completed one piece of work to the deadline. So that again is, and I don't know if this was an actual genuine piece of research or if it's just some urban myth kind of story, but I do recall that I've read that piece of information on more than one occasion, and it does demonstrate that actually if you produce more, then you increase the standard of what you're producing. So that's today, day 20. I probably am just on I'm producing something, and I don't know what standard I've produced this to, but you know, I've done it. I've completed day 20. Just to reiterate then, day 20 is set a quantity goal on firing your inner quality controller. So this really is letting go of perfectionism and just making sure that you produce. Day 20, Oliver Burkeman's Meditations for Mortals, a 4-week guide to doing what counts. I will see you next time. Hopefully that will be tomorrow, but if it's not, I'll see you whenever it actually occurs. Let me know what you think. Have you read the book? Do you have some thoughts on the principles within the book, specifically this principle of letting go of perfectionism and producing rather than fretting about the quality of the outcome? I'm Lindsay Milner. See you next time. Bye.